Today we hear two stories of mountaintop experiences. One from Exodus and one from Matthew. Now the Exodus scripture, what we heard today, doesn't give you the full picture of what's going on. You know, the Israelites, free from Egypt, have now made it to the base of Mount Sinai. And Moses has already been talking to God. And God has said, listen, Moses, these are the laws, the commandments, and these are some ordinances. Do you think your people will go for them? And, well, God, let me ask them. Absolutely, we'll do it. So now they're invited up to the formal ceremony of exchange of law and covenant. So we start off with, at this scripture, the 70 elders are already halfway up the mountain. That's as far as they're going to go. That's as far as God wants them to go. But they have seen the presence of God. They were eating and drinking in the presence of God. Now, the description of God in that passage doesn't exist. They just talk about what the ground looked like under God. So I don't know why they thought that was more important than actually describing God, but nevertheless, that's what we have. So then, God says, okay, Moses, come on up. And Moses goes up. Joshua stays behind. Moses enters the cloud for 6 days. And then Moses and God have the final ceremony there. Talks about all the ordinances again, and cuts the stones, and writes, the commandments on the stone. And there's, I guess, some way they are handed over to Moses. God says, oh, by the way, your people have just made a golden calf and aren't worshiping me anymore. Good luck with that. So if I'm taking some of this stuff out, obviously. But, so Moses, if you remember Charlton Heston, the 10 Commandments, Moses comes down mad, always mad. He takes the commandments and throws them against the calf, and all hell breaks loose. But I also remember the other 10 Commandments part of Mel Brooks' The History of the World, Part 1. Most of you have seen that, but he's got actually 15 commandments on 3 tablets. So he's coming down, he gets to the base of the mountain, and it says, the Lord your God has given you these 15, and he drops one. And it breaks into 1,000,000 pieces. And he says, has given you these 10 commandments. I just go there. So yes, Moses was up on top of the mountain for 46 days, and the people have already forgotten the promise they made. I only know of one person that can break a promise faster than that. And you're looking at him. So, the other story that we have is from Matthew. It's the same God. Remember, the God of the Old Testament, it's about love as well. Loving your neighbor as yourself comes out of Leviticus. I know we only think of Leviticus as a sex manual, but it's not. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love is there. So in this Matthew mountaintop experience, God is exhibiting God's self differently now. The disciples go up the mountain Christ, God, by their side. The Christ experience God's presence and see that Christ is God in the Transfiguration. And they're afraid. They fall down. Now remember, in Exodus, it's pretty much God tells you to fall down. Don't even touch my mountain. If you remember, he's telling the Israelites, the ancient Israelites, don't touch this mountain. Don't let your animals touch this mountain. And now all of a sudden in this Matthew, God is the same God, but God is working with us differently now. Now, let's go back. I'm sorry about jumping around, but let's go back to the golden calf. So, if you remember the story, after Moses throws the 10 Commandments on it and breaks the commandments and turns over all the fire and everything out of the movie, God has them grind up the golden calf into dust. Or God does it, Moses does. Moses then throws the gold dust onto their water, their drinking water, and says, drink it. And they drink it. Now I'm wondering, I don't think gold has a taste. I'm sure I've had it in minute quantities of gold, eating dirt or whatever, but I think that elixir must have tasted pretty bitter, just from knowing how they violated the covenant of the living God, the God that drew them out of Egypt, that led them out of Egypt, on their way to a promised land. So now Jesus, Peter, James, and John are on the mountain. Unfortunately, that golden calf, even though it got ground up into dust, it's still with us. It was with them, and it's with us today. Before Jesus went up the mountain, Jesus and the authorities were not getting along too well together. They were already planning his demise, the religious authorities. But Jesus was healing. Jesus was feeding thousands. Jesus was loving. So now God walks up the mountaintop, to the mountaintop with the disciples, who are us. We get scared. We fall down. And this God bends over and pulls them up and says, do not be afraid. God has changed the way God dealt with us versus the way he dealt with the ancient Israelites. God said, do be afraid. Do not be afraid. So then they come back down, and what does Jesus talk about? Forgiveness. Jesus talks about forgiveness, and Jesus knows where this road to Jerusalem is headed for him. But he talks of forgiveness. Asking us to forgive each other for our transgressions. These two stories show differing and similar ways of beholding God's glory. Unfortunately, the people of the two stories haven't changed a whole lot. God is treating us differently than he did in the Old Testament because love. He'll do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes to pull us into that presence. with Jesus, God isn't only found on the mountaintop. Jesus is found in the valley. Jesus is found in the pit with us, in the mire with us. Jesus is before us, behind us, above us, underneath us. When we go to the mountaintop, Christ is there. Today is the last day of Epiphany, the season of the light, truth, given us through the recognition that God came to earth as one of us in the incarnation. That's what Epiphany is about. Her first song was about God being manifest. Manifest in the incarnation. So it was amazing to me that the Israelites, when they looked up on the top of the mountain, knowing Moses was up there, and they themselves say it looked like a devouring fire. That's what the presence of God looked like up on the top of the mountain from our vantage point. But yet, we molded a golden calf. And yet, we know as Christians, or as seekers of Christ, that God is with us. We say it. I think we believe it. I do. But knowing that, we still mold and make our golden idols. Those small gods that lead to death. Even though we feel the presence of the living God. And those idols are attractive, shiny. Forms are always very pretty. But we do that even in the sight and the feel of God's presence. The promise of God through God's truth is that we will experience the resurrection and enter fully into the presence and glory of God. And as we take the bread and drink from the cup, from the banquet we will soon participate in, the banquet that gives us sustenance and for the journey and strengthens our companionship for the journey. Let us remember the mountaintop experience of Christ and the paralyzing fear experienced by Peter, James, and John. When the one who gives his life willingly for us out of love, not out of demand, out of love. When that one lifts us up out of fear and says to us, do not be afraid. Hear these words in the presence of Christ at this banquet. And through our own encountering God here, and out there. And let us share our own transfiguration from being at this table. Let this banquet, this communion, remove the taste of and be an antidote to the attractive golden calves willingly swallow. Amen.